So welcome to another edition of Real Estate Talk. It's Neale Petersen, publisher of Real Estate Investor magazine and also of the Real Estate Investor Network. With me today I have Jonathan Quail. Jonathan is an author, he's a life coach, and he also runs a very successful property investor network called LifeBuild. And so we're going to have our discussion today with Jonathan a little bit about property and business and that kind of stuff. And we're sitting here in Sandton, Johannesburg. So first of all, I'd just like to say to you, Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Neil. I must correct you, I'm not an author yet.
Okay.
Plan to be. But I do a lot of speaking. So speaking, training, life coaching, and an entrepreneur.
I'm sure you've probably got a couple of chapters of your book going.
Because I just need to put it down. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Maybe this is my cue to start doing it.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan, I think, first of all, I think just to the investors out there, it's been a really tough year for property per se. Can you maybe just share some of your sort of experience with property investors and maybe a little bit on the market, in terms of your particular network in LifeBuild, and maybe just share some property ideas and what, the kind of things that investors are going through right now.
Well, obviously, everyone knows that the market has not been great over the last couple of years, and a lot of people have lost faith in it, and they said, property is bad, and a lot of negativity and a lot of fear, and people have got into trouble in property. So I found that when I launched the network in 2007, for the first few months it really grew nicely, and then the National Credit Act hit, and I just found people suddenly just started to lose interest. Property became from being super good to super bad in their perception in a matter of a few months. But we carry on, and so what I've been doing is saying to people, we need to look and be a bit more selective about where you're going to invest. It's no good just investing willy-nilly in any development that comes up. I really looked at the market. I reevaluated at the end of 2007. I said, well, where's this market going? Where's the best opportunity right now? And based on a discussion with you, actually, pointed me in the right direction. I started to look at places like the inner city of Joburg in Pretoria, and that was where there was some really, and there still are some really good returns for investors at reasonable, affordable prices. You can cover your bond with the rental income that you get and your levy, and it's affordable. You can actually get bonds on properties for 300,000 rand as opposed to $500,000 plus. So I really changed my tack, and I started to market those kind of properties and suggest to people that that's where they were going to get the best returns, and also created a system for them where they would be able to do it quite safely, because you don't really want to go into the inner city not knowing what you're doing. So it was about trying to find a team who I could hook up with, who would find the right properties. They would make sure that the properties were in the right places, in the right buildings. They would give you all the relevant information, and then they would manage the property for you, and they would manage the tenants for you and make sure that the rent was collected. So pretty much it was you would have a whole team supporting you, so that I wouldn't take the risk of just putting an investor in there and then they come back to me a few months down the line and say, what have you got me into, because now my tenant's not paying and I don't want to go into Hillbrow because I'm too terrified, all this sort of thing. So it's really about creating a system around that, and so that's what I've been encouraging my investors to look at. Of course, a lot of them don't have cash, and they don't.
Most investors don't. Just as a matter of a lot of them use the bank's money and leverage. I'm sure that's part of your process that you also teach. Leverage is such a big thing. Doesn't matter in any market.
So it's ability to get leverage as well. A lot of them were over-indebted, and so it's been tough. But I think the market is turning, and I think for investors right now, if they can start looking at these opportunities, then they won't find better opportunities almost anywhere in the world. Some amazing opportunities, and it's really about shifting out of that mindset of everything's negative and bad, to start saying, well, let me see where the good is. And that really comes down to what I'm passionate about, which is personal development. And and the mindset. Because
Sure.
you know, an optimist will see opportunity in every difficulty, and a pessimist will see difficulty in every opportunity. And so it depends on where you're focusing, and that's really going to determine your results to a large extent.
So Jonathan, if you've got an investor that's really good on the system side of things and the skill part of the investing, which it seems that you've got into place quite nicely, what do you recommend more from a mental mindset type of thing you were talking about right now? Because I mean, I certainly believe being an investor myself, 80% comes down to psychological, you know. And what are the kind of things that you kind of share with your network on that particular side?
Well, I spend quite a lot of time on teaching them about the true principles of wealth creation, because really property is just an avenue to do that. So
Sure.
it's really about what is wealth, getting them to start to understand there's more than just money.
Right.
Wealth is really what you have when you lose all your money.
Sure.
It's what you have internally.
Yeah.
And so it's a shifting of a mindset from, right, I want money because I then think that that's going to give me certain things and that's going to make me happy, to saying no, but my wealth must be internal first. I must be happy, I must be contented with what I have. Yes, I have my goals and I have what I want to achieve, but in myself I'm comfortable in my own skin and I'm happy with who I am, and I don't need to have money in order to be happy.
Sure.
So it's more about a being, then doing, then out of the being, and then having as a kind of a side effect of that process, rather than I need to do something in order to get something so that I can be happy. And that is really a paradigm shift in terms of your attitude to your life and to yourself. And so if I can say, if the people watching this, they can get one thing out of this, is to start changing your paradigm about what life is really about. Is it about what you can get and the material things that you can accumulate, and therefore the status and how other people perceive you? Because if that's the way you live your life, then you are going to get into trouble at some point. Life has a kind of way of correcting you.
Yeah.
And those are the sort of people who then get into trouble because they buy too many properties, because the ego takes over, and they want to show everyone that they're doing so well. And then the market turns, and then they're like, oh my God, what have I got myself into? Because now I can't afford it, and so they'll crash and burn. And in the crashing and burning phase, maybe there's some people watching this who've experienced that over the last few years. You've got to say, well, where's the lesson in this? How can I learn, maybe to learn something about myself and about life that is much more profound than just money?
Sure.
And just earning more just making more money and having more properties. Who am I really, and what is true wealth? And if you start to shift into getting in touch with who you are as a person, and therefore why are you doing anything? Is it just about the money, or are you doing it because you actually enjoy doing it? And really that would be my message. You've got to enjoy doing what you're doing, and there's got to be some kind of deeper meaning than just making cash.
Absolutely.
And if you can find that, and find it in doing what you're doing, for instance in property investing. So maybe you're doing it because you really enjoy doing it, number one. You enjoy finding properties. Maybe you enjoy doing it because you're helping people in the inner city to have accommodation. So you feel like you're actually uplifting society in some way or another. And maybe you're doing it because you want to make money so that you can give back to society in some way. You want to, give to your local school or charity or church, or you've got your own little project you want to create. That creates a deeper meaning than just, I want cash for cash's sake, and I'll be financially free and rich, and great for me. That's not really a sustainable enough motivation. It's more a byproduct of a process of knowing who you are and why you're doing things. And if you can start shifting into doing things that way, from a more sense of enjoyment and meaning, rather than just because you're motivated by the external rewards, then you'll find that everything works better, and actually then paradoxically you do get the rewards. The rewards come, abundance can flow in many, many ways that you couldn't have foreseen. Not just through property, but in your whole life. So we're talking about your relationships, your health, your spirituality, your quality of life, just how are you operating on a day-to-day basis? Are you stressed, unhappy, full of dis-ease and therefore disease, or are you happy with life? Are you contented? And your property investment activity is just part of that. And you've got properties and they make money for you, and that's great, but it's not the be-all and end-all. And you can have very successful so-called property investors who have a lot of properties and a lot of money, and they could be very unhappy. And then you could have other investors who maybe don't have nearly as much, but they could be very happy with what they have. They could have 5 properties and they can be very happy with that, because it's not the be all and end all.
Sure.
So I think that's the lesson to learn out of these times. You know, if we become too attached to the material, too attached to the money that we can make, then life is a kind of way of correcting and saying, hey, you know what, you've got to look at that attitude and that perception again, and maybe have a rethink about your life and who you are and the way you're living your life. And so I'd really encourage people to use this to see what's happened in the last couple of years. If you've been in property and you've been burnt, to really take it as an opportunity to say, well, let me just reevaluate who I am, why I'm doing things, and maybe learn something a lot deeper than just, oh, I lost money and you know, it's terrible.
Sure. Well, you certainly got me intrigued there, Jonathan. So, and I'm sure you got the viewers out intrigued as well. What I want to ask you is, if we want to see you, do you have an event of some sort that people could attend?
Yeah.
How do we get hold of you? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I run a regular seminar, which is on wealth creation and property investment.
Right.
And I talk about this whole system I mentioned with the Lifeboat Property Investment Network.
Yeah.
That's once a month in Johannesburg. Occasionally I'm in Cape Town, and I do it in Cape Town. So they can go onto my website to find out more information about that. It's www.wealthsystem, WEALTHSYSTEM.co.za. And all the information about what the system is, and a little bit of background about myself, and details of where the next presentations are going to be held. On there, you can book online. I make it very, very affordable. It's 250 Rand session for a 4-hour seminar. And then if you like what you see at that, you can get involved with the Lifeboat Property Investment Network and use our system to invest in these kind of properties like the inner city. So that's on the property side. I also do speaking, training, and life coaching. So if you're interested in that, you can go to www.successcoach.co.za, successcoach.co.za. That's really about me and what I've done, and I speak for companies, and I do individual life coaching. There may be people out there who just need some one-on-one counseling. Maybe some of the ideas I've given you interest you. Then go to my website. All my contact details are on there, and you can contact me from there. And then I'd like to give your members a gift.
Oh, great!
Like.
Fantastic.
So you can go online to lifebuild.com, which is my web portal. That's lifebuild.com, and sign up to the members club. You just click on the members club link, and you get access to 12 free ebooks, inspirational ebooks, including Think and Grow Rich, which you're probably familiar with, by Napoleon Hill, which is like the classic of personal development. And I really recommend, if you haven't read it, for the people watching this, that they do read it, and it's available as a free ebook. And a number of others on mindset, and some specifically on wealth creation. And you get a daily inspirational quote. You put in your email address, and send out a daily inspirational quote. Very short, it'll take you 30 seconds to read, just to keep the inspiration flowing, because the truth is we
all need it all the time.
No one can get enough inspiration.
Absolutely.
And I also have a free interview. If some of the things I talked about intrigued you, you can go to another website, which is www.wiseviews, WISEVIVWS. I've recorded some interviews, 3.5 hours worth of interviews. I'm giving away the first interview, which is on how to overcome fear, which is really paramount to success in any field, but particularly property investment. I think any property investor will know you signing that offer to purchase is like, oh my God, what am I doing? Am I messing up here? And it's all about how do you overcome the fears that stop us from taking action to become successful. So there's a half-an-hour interview that they can go online to that website, wiseviews.co, and they can download it for free. And if they want the rest, then they can also access those for a fee, obviously, from the website.
Great. Well, Jonathan, I just want to thank you very much for coming on to Real Estate Talk, and I think it was very interesting listening to you. Very much in line with what's going on. I really recommend you go and see Jonathan at one of these events. There's also a link on the Remag site on www.remag.co.za. On the events, you'll actually see the events, in fact all your events that for the year.
Great.
So it is on. And to you, the reader, and to the viewer out there, prosperous investing. Watch out for our video again next week. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Neil. It's been a pleasure.